I am crawling around on the greenhouse floor right now because I'm doing my first real big pruning of the tomato plants in here. They are getting crazy. If you can see how big and bushy they're getting so far, they really need trimmed back. So in this tunnel, I plan on growing all of these tomatoes the single leader style, so just one main stem going up, and then I'm going to trim off all of the lower leaves. So how you do that when you're starting is just trim off the leaves that touch the ground, and then as the plant gets bigger and the fruit sets, as each branch, there's a specific word that tomato people would know that I can't remember right now, but the cluster of fruit will have a branch right above it that kind of shades the plant. And then once all of the fruit has matured and you pick it off, you trim off that branch. So you just keep trimming up the plant as well as taking the suckers off. So that's what I'm doing this morning. Tonight is probably the last cold night. I keep saying that and then the forecast changes, but I really think that it's the last one this time. So I haven't been trellising my tomatoes so far this year because I've had to use the frost cloth on and off. So I think tonight will be the last frost cloth necessary night, and then after that I will be ready to trellis. So that's exciting. It's almost time. The plants are setting. Well, really right now they're flowering, then they're going to be setting fruit. I'm going to have fruit in here by June. Fingers crossed. I will just show you quickly an example of how I trim my tomato plant. First, get its sister off. Well, maybe I'll just do. So for this plant right here, I'm going to trim off the lower leaves, and I can't even see in this tomato jungle. You want to trim off the lower leaves, especially the ones that touch the ground. One, for airflow for the plant, and two, they are the most prone to disease because they're going to get the splashback. Not in a tunnel, I guess, because there is no splashing, but they're going to obtain the moisture from the ground, and just fungal diseases will start. You can see on the edge of this plant, or on the edge of this leaf, the little brown and yellow. You really want to make sure that you trim those off. So as you can see in this tomato plant right here, it looks nice and healthy. You know that the tomato plant is happy when their arms are outstretched long ways. But if you look closely in the, what I like to call the armpits of the plant, so you have a branch coming out like this, and then you're going to have another branch coming out right here in the corner, the armpit, if you will, of this plant. While it's small, I can just pick it off like this. This is what's referred to as a sucker. So in the plant world, a sucker steals nutrients from the plant. It takes a lot of energy to grow this for the plant. So by removing the sucker, the plant can focus on its own growth and as well as fruit set. Now, if you let these go, like outside, I don't prune all the suckers off. I prune the lower leaves of the plants outside, and then I pretty much just let them bush out and do their thing, and I lose some to disease. It's fine, because I grow 300. And I know that if I lose a couple, it's fine. But you could actually root this like I showed you with the mint. This will do the exact same thing. You can put this, I would wait until it's a little bigger. Here's a little bit of a bigger sucker. This will actually make a whole new tomato plant. So if you had a variety that you were growing and you wanted a couple more plants of, or you wanted to share with your friends, or let's say you planned on having 10 plants of that variety, but the seeds just didn't work out and you only have a couple, you can make whole new plants with this tomato sucker. You just stick it in a jar of water on a sunny windowsill or inside a greenhouse if you have one, and it will start to grow roots. And once it has pretty good root system on it, just put it in some moist soil, keep it watered, and you will have a whole new tomato plant. So I'm going to trim all the lower leaves and the suckers off of these plants. When the suckers are small, you can just pick them off with your finger. Now here is a dilemma. So I got to the top of this plant, and as you can see, it's kind of splitting off into two. If this plant were outside, I would totally leave it. It will be fine. At this rate, I think the sucker was this one, because it's kind of coming out of the armpit of this plant, and I'm gonna cut it off. So that my plant can have one single leader instead of two, because I spaced these. A lot of people grow double leaders for tomatoes, and I probably will next year, but I was limited on space in here, so I kind of squeezed them together, so I don't have the room to do a double leader system. So yeah, I had to make the hard decision to cut off this tomato baby. This is actually the perfect size to root. Look how happy it is. It's later in the day now, but I just kind of wanted to show you an easy way to harden off your plants. So I've got behind me all these racks of my plants. I know that you can buy them new from Uline, maybe might have rolling shelves like these, but I would pay attention to resale sites like Facebook Marketplace, and just pick them up as you need them. These came from an old factory, but it makes hardening off really easy because I roll them into the garage. Like, this is the first night, so they're getting like dappled evening sun over here, but in the morning I will roll them out for some morning sun, and in the heat of the day, when the sun is the strongest, I'll roll them back in here, and then I'll gradually just leave them out a little bit longer until they're all hardened off. Look at all this room for activities behind me. Really, it's going to be filled up with new seed trays, but another easy way to harden your plants off is if you have a covered location. That's actually ideal. Like if you had a covered porch that got dappled sun here and there throughout the day, you could literally just take them out there on the porch and leave them, as long as it's covered. I don't have that, so I gotta roll them in and out on the rolly carts, but that is another option if you have that. Hardening plants off is literally the worst part though. Sowing the seed isn't the worst part. Taking care of them every day, watering them, it's hardening them off. We all hate it, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure we probably all hate it, but it's a very necessary step, especially for warm season plants. It's actually not as important in cool season because the sun isn't as strong, and those plants were made to withstand like the colder temperatures, so usually they're fine. You could throw a row cover over top and avoid hardening off. Make your own decision on that, but warm season plants it's definitely necessary, unfortunately, to harden them all off, just because of how strong the sun is and the heat and everything. It's probably a good idea to harden off all your plants. It's actually been a couple days since I shot the beginning of the video, and I just feel like these are growing insanely fast. I'm about ready to trellis them all, and then it'll really be grow time. Go time, grow time. But the sun's going down and it's time for me to go make dinner. So thank you guys for watching. Until next time.